Am I the asshole for refusing to give my grandparents my late husband's life insurance payout? My 35F husband passed away suddenly last year, leaving me and our two kids, 6M, 4F, completely heartbroken. He had a life insurance policy that paid out a significant sum, and while it doesn't make up for our loss, it has given us financial security. A few months ago, my in-laws approached me with a request. They want me to give a portion of the money to my late husband's grandparents, his mom's parents. Their reasoning is that they are struggling financially, and my husband would have wanted to help them. I do feel bad for them, but the thing is that they never really had a strong relationship with us. They didn't even come to our wedding, claiming it was too far, even though they travel for vacations all the time. They never made much effort to be in our children's lives either. And now they suddenly think they're entitled to the money my husband left for his family, which in my mind means our kids and me. My Emil has been calling me selfish, saying they're elderly and struggling, and that I should honor my husband's memory by helping them. But I feel like this money was meant for our children's future. It's not like I'm hoarding it. I've set up college funds and am ensuring we're stable. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my husband's coworker for embarrassing me and my husband? A few months ago, after many years of trying to conceive, my husband 32M and I 33F had a gorgeous, healthy baby boy. My husband and I are black, which is pertinent to this story. We were over the moon, and family, friends, and co-workers had also been excited for us. Right after I delivered, my husband emailed a birth announcement with a photo of our son to everyone in his office. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my husband came home fuming after his first day back at work. One of his co-workers informed him that another guy in the office, a new young employee my husband barely knew, had been telling everyone willing to listen that my husband couldn't be our son's father because that baby is too light to be his, and its hair is too long and straight. That's a white man's baby or an Asian's. This guy proceeded to tell everyone what a sucker my husband was, and that his excitement over finally becoming a dad was blinding him to the reality that he had been cheated on and his wife impregnated by another man. Side note for anyone who's still unaware in 2025, black babies in general are fairly pale as newborns, and their skin will darken over the first few weeks. Hair changes to a curlier pattern are usually gradual as well. Our son was no exception and is now my hub's mini-me. My husband said he had immediately confronted and questioned the guy, who completely denied saying anything inappropriate and claimed he only said, as a joke, the baby was too cute to be my husband's. But others in the office confirmed the first co-worker's account. Not only that, the guy had tried to parlay his superior perception skills into some weird form of workplace clout. Fortunately, the guy got moved to a different shift that same week, so my husband didn't have to see him again. That is, until a company event this past weekend. Families were invited and we took our son. And who should come and insert himself into our group as we were chatting with the boss, but Brown-Noser McMouth. He interrupted our conversation and introduced himself to the boss, shaking his hand. When I realized who he was, my anger came flooding back and I said, I don't believe we've met. But aren't you the guy who went around telling everyone in the office I must have cheated on my husband with a white or Asian man, and this couldn't be his son? The guy went red and silent. Boss said to him, see me in my office first thing Monday, and walked away. I think someone's fired. My husband said I went too far because it was already over and done with. I said it wasn't done for me until I'd had my say, and I was the one being defamed, not him. AITA? Am I the asshole for refusing to pay my neighbor's vet bill after her unleashed dog got hit by a car? So my neighbor Lisa is one of those people who thinks rules don't apply to her. A few months ago, she got a husky and from day one never kept it on a leash. This dog was constantly running loose, digging up gardens, jumping on people, chasing cars, and every time someone told her to control it, she'd laugh and say, oh, he just loves his freedom. Well, that freedom finally caught up with her. One afternoon, I was walking my dog, on a leash like a responsible owner, when Lisa's husky came barreling toward us. No hesitation, no stopping, just full speed, straight at my dog. My beagle is tiny compared to this thing, so of course he got scared and started barking. Before I could react, the husky lunged at him. It was full-on aggression. Snarling, teeth out, trying to pin my dog down. My poor dog was yelping and trying to escape. I was doing everything I could to pull him away when suddenly Lisa's husky turned and bolted straight into the road. And just like that, bam, a car hit him. The driver had no chance to stop. Lisa's dog was running loose, unsupervised, and straight into traffic. Lisa came running out of her house, screaming at me, not worried about the driver, not even acknowledging that she let her dog run wild, just screaming, "This is your fault. Your dog made him run." Excuse me? My fault? Her dog was the one attacking mine. Her dog was the one off leash. Her dog was the one who ran into the street. I had zero control over what happened. She rushed her husky to the vet, and a few days later she showed up at my door with a $5,000 bill. Surgery, medication, everything. And then she actually said, "You need to pay for this since your dog caused it." Yeah, not happening. Look, I feel awful for her dog. I'm really glad she's going to be okay. No animal deserves to go through that, and honestly, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But at the end of the day, we all have bills to pay. And she's acting like I just have thousands of dollars lying around to clean up her mistake. I tried to be understanding, but she's putting everything on me like she had nothing to do with it. And now I hear she's been bad-mouthing me for not helping. I don't know. Am I really in the wrong here? Am I the asshole? My husband got me a vacuum for my 50th. Title says it all. Turned 50 yesterday. Husband 53M woke me up, told me he had a surprise for me downstairs. I go downstairs and see a vacuum, not even wrapped, mind you. He said he thought I'd like a new one, since the current one doesn't have the ability to turn off the brush roller when using on hard floors. I never asked for a new one. It works fine. That was my birthday. Not even a lunch or dinner out. He mentioned a month ago about doing something special and going on a trip. I asked about that and he said he figured I'd tell him when and where I wanted to go. He never asked where, but did mention several times over the past month he had a surprise for me. Apparently, it was a F-seeking vacuum. We've been married 17 years. AITA for hoping or expecting that maybe he could have planned and surprised me with something. Anything? Something more than an Amazon next-day delivery vacuum? When he turned 50, I took him to Hawaii. Maybe I'm just being hypersensitive. Turning 50 has been a hard number for me. Parents and grandparents all passed in that decade. Edit. Thank you to the numerous people who reported my post to Reddit Crisis Cares. Not necessary. And to the mean trolls saying to get a life, no one cares, don't be a gold digger, or it's the thought that counts. I wish you nothing but success and prosperity in life. Peace. Edit 2. It's a Eureka Power Speed canister vacuum. Am I the asshole? For refusing to take my ex back, but accepting my fiance's kids. My ex-husband, let's call him Frank, and I got married deeply in love. After a while, I found out I couldn't have children. Frank wanted kids, and he told me he didn't want to leave me, but also wanted to have a child with someone else. I couldn't accept that. Later, I found out he had gotten a woman from his workplace pregnant. He told me he didn't want to divorce me and still wanted to be with me, but I couldn't stay. Despite his resistance, I divorced him, and he married the mother of his child. This was 2 years ago. Now I'm with someone new, let's call him Mark. Mark is kind, understanding, and has been a great support system for me after everything with Frank. I love him deeply. He has 2 sons from his previous marriage, ages 3 and 5. They stay with him every other weekend and see him regularly during the week. He's a great dad, and I admire that about him. Mark and I recently decided to get married, and I'm really happy about it. But ever since Frank found out, he has been trying to contact me. Today, he showed up outside my work. He accused me of being a hypocrite, accepting Mark's kids but refusing to accept his. He said that all he ever wanted was to build a life with me and grow old together, and that I was being unfair for not accepting him under the same circumstances. Logically, I see why he thinks it's the same situation, but it doesn't feel the same. The thought of Frank and his child still hurts me, yet I don't feel the same way about Mark and his kids. Frank insists it's the same, but is it? So AITA. Update. Wow, I didn't expect to receive this much support. Thank you all so much. I wanted to address a few things that came up in the comments. Surgery was not an option for me. We consulted multiple doctors, and in the end we had to accept that I wouldn't be able to have children. That time was especially difficult for me, and Frank was my biggest source of support. Adoption was also off the table because Frank didn't want it or wanted biological children. He told me, I don't want to raise someone else's child. I was the one who first suggested divorce back then, but he swore he would never leave me. He even said, it will always be just the 2 of us until the end. And I believed him. Frank and I met in high school and were together for 10 years. I think that's why he knows exactly how to get to me. After our conversation today, I started doubting myself. I even felt like I was the one at fault. Thank you all for helping me see things from my perspective again. I feel much more certain now. Am I the asshole? For calling off my wedding because my fiancé wanted to invite her ex. My fiancé wanted to invite an ex to our wedding. From what I know, he was a dick who always put her down and told her that he was the best she could ever do. Naturally, I asked her why the hell does she want him at our wedding. She said she wanted to shove it in his face that she did amazingly for herself and she got someone way better. While I appreciated the compliment, I asked her, "Are you really so hung up on him that you're going to make our wedding about him?" Honestly, once I said it, it was like someone else told me. I didn't even realize what I was saying, and I didn't even understand it until I said it. I told her that she shouldn't bother to invite him because we weren't getting married anymore. She was stunned and eventually apologized and told me to forget about her ex. I felt angry and almost told her she's the one who needs to forge her about him. IDK, she spent the day telling me that she's sorry for bringing it up. I'll be honest, I'm even reconsidering the entire relationship now. Update AITA for calling off my wedding because my fiancé wanted to invite her ex. So we are going to try some premarital counseling first. Our wedding has gone from being called off to being postponed indefinitely. My fiancé tried to explain why she wanted to invite her ex, but not only did she keep changing her answers, each one made it way worse for me. First, she tried to explain that she just wanted some payback. I told her, "And if he doesn't care? Are you going to rub in his face our first child? Our first home?" She said she didn't mean it that way, and she just wanted to prove her worth. Which I then told her that I guess her ex is the only one who can determine her worth. We kept going like this for a while, and there wasn't a single answer she gave that didn't boil down to, she cares what her ex thinks. And apparently she can't be happy unless her ex felt some sort of way. She denied it, but honestly I find hard to believe her. I don't want our marriage to be only worth something if her ex is the only one who can determine it. I refuse to be with someone whose happiness revolves their ex's feelings. I decided to at least try some counseling. We have been together for years now. FYI, she was with her ex for about 2 years. 3 years later she met me, and we have been together for 4. I figured I should try, so at least I can say I tried. Update to AITA for calling off my wedding, because my fiancé wanted to invite her ex. We broke up. We went to counseling for months, and I just kept feeling worse and worse. Honestly, she things that kind of reminded of some comments I read on my previous posts. How he was meant to be nothing except something to be made fun of. I guess she simply did not understand I did not want her ex in there in any way, shape, or form, including in her head. I told her I don't want her to look at me at the altar with her ex in her head. She just didn't get it, she thought, because she wanted him to feel bad. It was okay. Honestly, at some point I realized we were talking about her damn ex every day. And it just hit me. I don't want to ever hear her talk about him again. I don't want to hear his damn name again. I don't want my wife to constantly think about what her ex thinks of her. It's actually been a few weeks since our breakup, and I feel so relieved I haven't heard my ex talk about her ex. Am I the asshole? For kicking my sister and her baby out after what she did to my dog. I, 29, have a golden retriever named Max. He's 3 years old and the friendliest, most well-behaved dog you could ask for. Recently, my sister, 25F, went through a rough breakup and needed a place to stay with her 6-month-old baby. Of course, I let her move in rent-free as she's family. At first, everything was fine. But a few weeks ago, I came home to find Max acting strange. He was hiding under the table, shaking, and wouldn't come when I called him. This was completely out of character for him. I asked my sister if she knew what happened, and she just shrugged, saying, "Oh, I had to teach him a lesson." That immediately set off alarm bells, so I pushed for more details. Eventually, she admitted that Max had been barking while the baby was napping, so she locked him in the bathroom with the lights off for hours to make him understand. We had such an argument over this. I told her that she does not get to discipline my dog, and that even if she did, that was a terrible way to treat a dog or any other living creature. She said it was fine and that Max was just a dog. We went back and forth, and I eventually just told her that if she didn't anything like that again, she's out. A few weeks after that, I was just chatting with my neighbor, as neighbors do, and he told me that he could hear shouting sometimes from my sister in my house and my dog yelping as if in pain. I confronted her with this, and she told me that sometimes she firmly pats Max to get him to stop doing things, like barking or going up to the baby. So basically she hits Max when I'm not around. I was furious. I told her she had 24 hours to pack her things and leave. That's when she lost it, saying she had nowhere else to go and accusing me of choosing a dog over my own sister. Now our parents are calling non-stop, saying I should be more understanding because she's a stressed-out single mom. Also, she ended up staying with our mother. I love my sister, but Max is my family too, and I won't tolerate anyone mistreating him. Am I the asshole for kicking her out? Am I the asshole for giving my late spouse's wedding ring to my daughter instead of my son? I lost my spouse 10 years ago, and their wedding ring has been one of the few things I've held onto as a reminder of our life together. I always assumed it'd pass it down one day, but I never really thought about when or to whom until recently. My daughter, Emily 25F, has been with her fiancé, Mark 27M, for 7 years. They've been through college, job changes, and even bought a house together. When they got engaged, Emily asked if she could have the wedding ring. I felt emotional, but ultimately happy to give it to her, knowing she would cherish it and keep their memory alive. My son, Peter 28M, didn't say much at first, but a few days later he came over furious. He said he had also planned to propose soon and assumed the ring would go to him. The thing is that he's only been dating his girlfriend, Sophie 24F, for 4 months. I told him I wasn't comfortable giving the ring to someone I barely knew, especially since his past relationships have never lasted more than a year. He blew up, accusing me of favoring Emily and saying I had no right to decide whose love was more real. He claimed I was punishing him for not settling down sooner and that it was unfair to assume his relationship wouldn't last. I told him it wasn't about favoritism. It was about knowing the ring was going to someone who had truly built a life with their partner. He called me a hypocrite for acting like a gatekeeper of love and said I had no faith in him. Now he's barely speaking to me and his sister. Did I do anything wrong? AITA? Am I the asshole for not letting my stepdaughter have my late daughter's room? My daughter, Megan fake names, passed away 2 years ago at 15. Her room has been left mostly untouched and I keep it clean. I've made a few attempts to clean it out, but I stop pretty quick. I just feel guilty. Recently, my wife's daughter, Anna 16F, asked if she could move into Megan's room because it's bigger and has better lighting. Anna currently shares a room with her younger sister, and I understand that's not really comfortable. I told Anna no and explained that I'm not ready to change Megan's room. Anna was disappointed but seemed to understand. However, my wife is now pressuring me, saying it's unfair that I'm prioritizing a shrine over Anna's comfort. She argues that Megan wouldn't have wanted her room to sit empty when someone else could use it. I get her point, but to me this isn't about playing favorites. I'm still grieving, and changing Megan's room feels like erasing her. Anna isn't being bratty about it, but my wife keeps bringing it up, calling me selfish and unwilling to move forward. I know it's been 2 years, but I don't feel ready yet. My wife says I'm putting my grief above Anna's needs. Am I the asshole for not giving my mom a grandmother experience with my baby? I 27F had my first baby 6 months ago, and my mom 52F has been over the top obsessed with being a grandmother. I expected her to be excited, but I didn't realize she saw this as her big life event. Before my son was even born, she started acting like she was gearing up to raise him alongside me. She set up a full nursery at her house, kept talking about all the weekends he'd be spending with her, and told me she planned to be there for all the firsts. It was weird, but I brushed it off as excitement. Then he was born, and it got worse. She constantly criticizes everything I do. If I let him nap in my arms, I'm spoiling him. If I don't bring him over enough, I'm keeping him from her. She started showing up unannounced, and if I don't let her take the baby alone, she acts hurt, like I don't trust her. The final straw was last week at a family gathering. I was holding my son when she suddenly reached for him and tried to take him out of my arms, saying I needed a break. I pulled back and told her, "I don't need a break, Mom. I've got it." She looked stunned and barely spoke to me for the rest of the night. Later, she sent me this long message about how I'm denying her the grandmother experience and treating her like a stranger. Now my dad and siblings are saying I should let her be more involved because she just loves him so much. I don't want to shut her out, but I also don't want to feel like I have to share my baby and being constantly criticized. Am I being too harsh? Am I the asshole for not splitting the bill when my friend got lobster? So last weekend, me 21 Mayor and my friends, I'm giving fake names. So Jake 22, Sarah 21F, Lisa 21F, hit this seafood joint we've been hyping up. Not crazy fancy, low-key affordable for us working students. I figure we're all keeping it chill. I got crab cakes for $20. Sarah and Lisa get normal stuff too, like 15 to 18 plates. Then Jake goes, oh hell yeah, lobster tail $85 and orders it. I asked him if that's what he really wanted, 'cause that's expensive as hell, and I don't think we could cover for him if ever. He said yes, don't worry. I don't say shit, thinking he's got it covered. Dinner's cool, he's flexing his lobster, whatever. Bill comes. 185. I'm like, okay, my share's maybe $25 with tip. But Jake's also $46 each, and I'm what? His lobster was $85. I say, nah man, I'm not paying for that. I'll do 25. Sarah and Lisa back me up, they weren't splitting either. Jake gets pissy, says we always split. You're being cheap, it's just dinner. Dude, it's triple my food. I stick to my guns, we all pay separate, but he's acting like I ruined everything. Says I embarrassed him. Texted me later all salty about it. I kinda get it. Splitting's simpler and I coulda just ate the cost, but $85, $20 feels wild to me. Did he really just expect us all to split with him after he saw us order cheaper food? He even knew we can't cover that much for him. Now he's barely talking to us, and I'm sitting here like, were we the assholes? Should we have just paid it to keep the vibe good? Am I the asshole for refusing to have a relationship with my dad after he cheated and destroyed our family? Hi, I 20F haven't spoken to my dad 45M in almost 2 years. When I was 17, I found out he was cheating on my mom 42F with her best friend. They had been sneaking around for months before anyone knew. When my mom found out, she was absolutely shattered. She had to raise me and my younger brother 13M alone with barely any support. The worst part is that my dad never apologized, not to my mom, not to us. He acted like it was just something that happened and said, these things are complicated. Like, sorry, you threw away your family for a woman we trusted and now you think we'll just move on. Since then, my dad has been living with that woman, playing happy family with her kids while completely ignoring us. He missed my graduation, never helped my mum financially, and only texts me on birthdays or holidays like, hope you're well, as if nothing happened. Now suddenly, because some of our extended family are having reunions and holidays, he's trying to reconnect. He keeps reaching out saying, you're my daughter, I miss you, let's fix this. But honestly, I don't think I can. I've watched my mom cry herself to sleep for years. I had to grow up fast to help her and my little brother. Why should I forgive him now just because he feels lonely? Some family members, mostly on his side, are saying I'm being cold and bitter and that life is short. You'll regret it if you don't make peace. But to me, he's the reason our family is broken. So now I'm wondering AITAH for refusing to have a relationship with my dad after everything he's done. Am I the asshole for refusing to get rid of my coffee table because my friend says it's cursed after what happened at a party? A few weeks ago, I hosted a little get-together at my apartment. Nothing wild, just some drinks, music, and a few friends hanging out. The night was going great until my friend Kayla 23F had a very unfortunate accident. She had a little too much to drink, and at one point she tripped over absolutely nothing and went face first into my glass coffee table. It didn't shatter, but she smacked her forehead so hard that she ended up with a huge bruise and a mild concussion. We took care of her, got her some ice, and she laughed it off once she sobered up. But ever since then, she's been obsessed with the idea that my coffee table is cursed. She swears she didn't just trip, she says she felt something push her. Like a force yanked her forward, guiding her straight into the glass. At first, I thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. She keeps saying the table has bad energy and that it's trying to hurt people. She even went as far as to test it by making our friend Ryan stand near it while she tried to feel if there was a weird vibe coming off of it. Ryan said it just felt like a normal table. But now Kayla refuses to come over unless I get rid of it. She says I'm inviting bad luck into my home by keeping it, and that my apartment will never have peace as long as it's here. The thing is, I love this coffee table. It was expensive, it matches my decor perfectly, and aside from Kayla's self-inflicted head injury, it has never done anything remotely dangerous. I told her I'm not throwing away my furniture over one drunken accident, and she got really offended. She said I was invalidating her experience and that I was choosing a table over a friend. I told her she was being ridiculous, and now she's barely speaking to me. A few mutual friends think I should just sell it to keep the peace, but I feel like this is a stupid hill to die on. It's a piece of furniture, not a demon. AITA for refusing to get rid of my cursed coffee table. Am I the asshole? For divorcing my wife after she went into massive debt again. I 34M met my wife 32F 5 years ago. She was 60K in debt from credit cards, personal loans, etc. A while ago, after we got serious, I helped her get a consolidation loan from Consumer Credit Card Relief. I actually paid it all off on her behalf through them. Monthly payments, the whole deal. Things were great for about 2 years. We got married, bought a house, life was good. Then I started noticing packages arriving daily. She got secretive about the mail. Bills were being hidden. When I finally confronted her, turns out she'd racked up another 45Ks in debt across 7 different cards. I was devastated. We tried counseling financial and marriage, but she kept spending behind my back. She even opened a card in my name. I filed for divorce last month. Now her family is blowing up my phone, saying I'm an asshole for abandoning her when she needs help most. AITAH for walking away. I feel like I tried everything and she betrayed my trust repeatedly. Am I the asshole? For not giving my dad's wife a heads up that I was dancing with my granny at my wedding. I 28M got married in November. Ever since the wedding, there has been an ongoing disagreement over my choice to dance with my granny while my wife danced with her dad. The big thing appears to be that I didn't give my dad's wife, who I met when I was 11, a heads up about this, and she found out about the dance while it happened. But the other layer appears to be that I asked my granny instead of my dad's wife. This has been brought up at least 7 different times since my wedding in November, and over the weekend it was brought up again, but it became an actual fight. The short version is I never considered telling her about it before my wedding because I didn't expect it to be an issue, and she was not on my mind while I was planning the wedding. Longer version is that I didn't consider warning her in advance or anything, but I know there's some more complexity to this. I never considered her a mother figure. I met her when I was 11, and she moved in with us when I was 12 and married Dad when I was 13. To me, she was my dad's girlfriend and then wife, not my mom or parent. But when I was a teenager, we went to family therapy together because our relationship wasn't developing like she expected, and she didn't like feeling like she was only in mine and my sister's life as long as she was with Dad. But that's how we saw it. My sister is older, BTW. She tried to be a mother figure, but backed off by the time I left for college. I thought it was her accepting the reality. I still feel like my relationship with her is contingent on her being married to my dad and him being alive. I'm not attached to her personally. In February 2020, she and my dad separated and didn't get back together until May 2022. I didn't speak to her from February 2020 until July 2022, when I saw her again for the first time since their breakup. Things seemed fine at the time. She didn't ask why my sister or me didn't call or anything. But now it turns out she was still holding on to the hope that she was more, and that she was a motherly figure enough that I would have asked her to dance with me instead of Granny. Her feelings are hurt, and she feels like I was disrespectful to her by not telling her beforehand. On Saturday, when it came up again, she told me she felt insulted that I asked Granny when she was there, and the fact she and Dad were sitting next to my wife's parents, it made it more obvious that she was being snubbed and wasn't considered a parent like the other 3 people sitting with her. My sister told her she knew where we all stood, and she thought we'd put it to rest when we were teens and went to family therapy with her and Dad. My dad's wife said she figured there'd be enough respect for her to give a warning, at least so she wasn't blindsided. I told her honestly I didn't even think about doing it because I believed, like my sister, that any hard feelings about that were put to rest. She said we're both adults now, that my sister is 31 and I'm 28. She said she believed at our ages we would have come to see her in a different light. She said it was cruel for me to give her no consideration at all when I planned the dance, and I left her to be humiliated. My dad said nothing during this and hasn't spoken up at all when this was brought up in the last few months. I told her I was sorry her feelings were hurt. She said that was a crappy apology and hurt her feelings even more. She told me I was inconsiderate. Then she and my sister ended up fighting about it all. Then I exchanged some heated words with her because she tried to place some blame on my wife for not warning her. Am I the asshole? For taking back the anniversary gift I got for my wife? I 37M and my wife 35F have been together 9 years. Married for 5, no kids. Because of my job, for the last 3 years, I've been away 2 to 4 days a week. Even though my wife never directly was against my job when I was accepting it, now living that life makes me feel guilty about not being always present. So to make up for it, I always go the extra mile with texts, calls when I'm away, and always try to get little attention gifts on my way home. Just trying to make her feel I know it's taxing on the relationship. We had our ups and downs during the last years. Half the time when I'm gone, she's cold and says she doesn't feel like talking on the phone or texting much. At some point, claiming that the only reason why I call and text her so often is because I feel guilty, knowing my wife is sentimental and sobs during every romantic movie we watch. Last week for our anniversary, which we were celebrating together with our families, I decided to give her something sentimental, heartbeat rings, which would let us feel each other's heartbeat when I'm away. This being a special occasion, I also got them engraved with our names and anniversary date. Anyways, after dinner we went to exchange gifts and she was excited at first, all happy opening the box. But when I explained to her what they are, she suddenly got a weird look. And the first thing out of her mouth with a straight face, "Wait, this isn't some kind of tracking thing, is it?" I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She starts going to the product's website on her phone to find if I could track her with it. I was sitting speechless while the rest of the family started to make jokes about it. Now, for context, we never really had any big trust issues in all these years, so I was dumbfounded from where this was coming from. I told her this wasn't about tracking, and I don't know why she would even think that. It was about feeling intimate, because she doesn't like long calls and messages. But she just kept repeating it, and after about 5 minutes, seeing how she is still checking it on her phone, I just snapped. I said, "Fine. We should not have these." I took the rings back and put them away. Now she's pissed and says she wants them back. She says it was a joke. Says I took it away to punish her. Says now it proves her point. While I don't want to give it to her, taking into account the emotional residue from that moment, and also thinking she might make the same joke later on, I didn't take it back because she just made a joke. I took it back because she completely ruined what was supposed to be a sentimental thing on front of the whole family.